After 4 years and several awkward months, the Jacob Markstrom era is over for the Calgary Flames. News broke on Wednesday morning via TSN's Travis Yost that the Flames had traded Jacob Markstrom to the New Jersey Devils. That trade turned out to very much be the case. The Flames have traded Markstrom to the New Jersey Devils, as was originally rumored to be a possibility back in February and March prior to the trade deadline. Uh, Here's how the trade breaks down. The Calgary Flames have traded Markstrom with 31.25% of his salary retained, which is $1.875 million for the next 2 seasons. In exchange for Markstrom, the Flames are receiving a 2025 first-round selection from the New Jersey Devils, along with 23-year-old gigantic defenseman Kevin Ball. The first-round pick the Flames have received is lottery protected, in which case, if that pick is top 10 in the 2025 draft, the Flames will get a 2026 draft pick with no conditions on it. So there's some protection there for New Jersey, and the Flames get a first rounder. Kevin Ball is 23 years old. He's 6'6", 230. He's a big defensive defenseman. He doesn't have a lot of offensive prowess. At least he hasn't shown it at the NHL level. Let's get in quickly to the pieces involved in this trade. Jacob Markstrom is 34 years old. He is 2 years removed from being the runner-up for the Vezina Trophy as the National Hockey League's top goaltender. In 21-22, he, along with the Flames, were very, very good. That was the year the Flames went to the second round of the playoffs and lost in 5 games to the Edmonton Oilers. Markstrom was really good in the first round and progressively less good against Edmonton. The next season, he was okay. His game has been prone to sort of wild swings from time to time. He's always a good goalie, but one of the things that has sort of drawn him some derision from Flames fans is his habit of giving up what are known as first shot goals. First shot of the game goes in. He was one of the league leaders in first shot goals against over the last few seasons, pretty much his entire run with the Flames actually, but it became really noticeable the last 2 or 3 seasons. As a result, your team is chasing a bit more than they'd like with him. On the other hand, he's, let's be blunt, wasn't given a lot of defensive help with the Flames the last couple seasons. Between departures, between the defensive scheme changing a bit under Ryan Huska, between just the fact that when you take Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk out of your lineup 2 years ago, you spend a little bit more time your own end, and some of the warts of your team system are a bit more evident. So Markstrom, very highly ranked in the metric called goals saved above expected. He was a guy that would hold your team into games, even with that first goal against propensity. He was a really good player holding teams in. So why the Flames want to get rid of him? I don't know if it's so much a want to get rid of him as much as a cash out while he still has value kind of thing. He's 34. He'll turn 35 in January. Typically speaking, the aging curve comes for goalies very harshly. We started to see that a bit last year, where Markstrom spent a third of the year on the shelf with various injuries, and if that's the canary in the coal mine, maybe this is the time to cash out on him. There's also, from a Markstrom's perspective, the Flames are ending sort of a retreat period. They're not going to be a contender for the remainder of Markstrom's contract. And so if you're Markstrom and you see father time creeping up on you, you might want to have a chance to win something before you hang it up. So he had a full no move. He could basically determine where he went. I don't think it's unfair to say that because of the no move, the Flames probably got less value than they would have gotten had he not had the no move. But, if we're being honest here, the Flames probably don't get him signed in 2020 without offering him a bonus heavy contract and some clauses. So, he exercised the rights he had under the contract they offered him. And as a result, he's going to New Jersey, and the Flames get a pick and a defenseman. The 2025 pick, the Flames, technically speaking, have control of 3 picks, although now one of their picks has to go to Montreal via the trade they made for Sean Monahan, sending Sean Monahan to Montreal with a sweetener. The Flames' first rounder is top 10 protected. It seems likely that the Flames will be holding on to their first rounder. So more likely than not, the conditional pick going to Montreal will be Florida's pick. Again, unless Florida finishes bottom 10 next year, but that doesn't seem likely. So more likely than not, it'll be Florida's pick going to Montreal. As a result, the Flames have 2 first-rounders in the 24 draft, their own, in Vancouver's. They have 2 first-rounders in the 25 draft, their own, and probably New Jersey's. They have 2 first-rounders in the 26 draft, their own, and Vegas's. So, it's for a team that is trying to load up and build the team up and potentially, they hope, be a team of note by the time the new building opens in 2027. Yeah, it's not a bad plan. So we'll see how they execute it. Kevin Ball kind of fills a need for the Flames. He's big, he's defensive, he's burly. If you look at his underlying metrics, obviously his scoring metrics weren't anything to write home about. His underlying metrics, though, if you look at his goals above replacement, via Evolving Hockey, he was New Jersey defensive leader in even strength defense. He was second behind Simon Nemec in even strength offense, which essentially just means that the puck goes in the right direction when he's on the ice. He didn't bury things a lot himself, but he was the team's defense amongst the defensemen in New Jersey. He led them in goals above replacement. Granted, Dougie Hamilton was hurt most of the year. But, you can sort of squint and sort of see what the fit is for the Flames. If you look at their blue line group, you have Danil Maramanov, offensive-oriented guy, Rasmus Anderson, offensive-oriented guy, Oliver Shillington, offensive-oriented guy. They have a lot of young defensemen in their system, Jeremy Poirier, Hunter Bustevich, Etienne Morin, who are all sort of that kind of a mold. And you could make an argument that, Kevin Ball is essentially kind of a very similar style of player to some of the guys they have in their system, but he's a bit further along. And so if you're looking to, at the very least, plug a hole in the NHL roster for the time being, he's 23, turning 24 this year, and he fills a need, and he fills a hole for them in the roster. Left shot defensive defenseman. They have a lot of right shot offensive defensemen, and they really only have one Mackenzie Weegar who can sort of be a guy you can put anywhere with anyone. And so, you can understand the fit. I'm sure Flames fans would have liked to have seen someone with a bit more flash to his game, and it does feel like the Flames keep going and grabbing defensemen. This might be the first non-Russian defenseman that they've gotten in a while since Craig Connery became GM. But, you can kind of understand what they think the fit is. Obviously, the elephant in the room here is with Jacob Markstrom in New Jersey. It's Dustin Wolf time. The Flames have been hoping to open a roster spot for Dustin Wolf over the last couple of seasons. Since being drafted in the 7th round in 2019, Dustin Wolf has won the Western Hockey League Goalie of the Year award twice and the American League Goalie of the Year award twice, and he was the AHL MVP a year ago. Last season, he split pretty much, he spent about a third of the year, a little bit more than a third of the year in the NHL because of Markstrom injuries and a late season injury to Dan Vladar. And, at a certain point, you got to let your guy run. And Dustin Wolf's going to get a chance to be a full-time National Hockey League goaltender next season. And a lot of people are really anxious about seeing him, see if he can take that step. But also a lot of people are really excited because this is a guy that's done literally everything you can expect him or ask him to do at the American League or Western League or basically any non-NHL level. He's done everything you possibly could want him to do. So he'll have a shot. He's an RFA right now. He needs a new contract. He won't be expensive, so the Flames will probably end up saving between the retention and adding Kevin Ball and then adding Dustin Wolf to the roster. You're probably saving about $3 million in cap space, so that'll give them somewhere around $23 million to, they got to sign Oliver Shillington. They got to add a couple forwards to their group, but they still have the ability to do a lot of interesting things, eat bad contracts, make hockey trades. So this was the first domino that was going to fall for the Flames this offseason. This is probably the biggest one because the biggest piece of looming, lingering business was the Markstrom situation. I don't think it's unfair to say he was unhappy about how things were handled last year. I don't think it's necessarily anybody's fault. Trades fall apart for any number of reasons, and players get looped into possible trades at various points in the process. So, for a guy that has a full no move, you probably would have liked to have known both a little bit less and a little bit more. Don't ask me anything until it's time for me to leave kind of thing. I get it. I get why it was kind of awkward. But, ultimately, the player ends up where he wants. The Flames get a first and a pretty interesting young defenseman, and they add to their cap and contractual flexibility for the next couple of seasons. And, I'm very interested to see what the Flames do with their cap space, because in terms of fitting guys in, making moves, being a banker for other teams, potentially at the trade deadline, even at the draft, the Flames arguably have as much, if not more, flexibility than almost any team in the league. And we'll see what Craig Conroy and his staff ends up doing with it. But for now, the Markstrom era is over. After 4 years, Markstrom is a devil, and we'll see how Dustin Wolf does now that he'll probably be a full-timer in 24-25. Let us know what you think of the trade down in the comments. And if you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll keep adding stuff to the channel.